Christian Warrior Training. My name is Keith. In this episode, we're going to talk about 200 Bibles that were burned in front of a church on Easter Sunday. Now look, before we dive into this incident, if you like getting news about crimes that occur at churches and you want to enhance the security of your church, you're in the right place. You might want to head over to ChristianWarriorTraining.com. I have a free newsletter. There is no spamming. I am doing this for my fellow followers of Christ. I have free training for church security teams, free tips and tricks to keep your churches safe, all free of charge, so I can help my fellow followers of Christ. Now, hitting the news today is an incident out of Mount Juliet, Tennessee. I've spent a lot of time in Mount Juliet, Tennessee. I've spent the night in Mount Juliet, Tennessee. I love that town. It's a beautiful town. But yesterday, on Easter Sunday, just before services, somebody parked a trailer at the intersection of Old Lebanon Dirt Road and Chandler Road in Mount Juliet and lit 200 Bibles on fire. Now, Pastor Greg Locke is the pastor of Global Vision Bible Church. It's located near the incident site. He shared on social media that the trailer was blocking the entrance to the church's parking lot. Now, the pastor said that they've been the victim of vandalisms in the past, which we all have because people want to lash out at churches, and that's fine. But he said he's never encountered anything like this. Now, as this hits the news today, we're going to talk about two things. We're going to talk about securing your church, and we're going to talk about kind of a biblical perspective about Bible burning. Now, let's talk about securing your church. Look, there's nothing you can do to prevent somebody from burning a bunch of Bibles in front of your church. But what you can do is have a good video system, a good 4K video system at your church. So if they do commit a crime at your church, you're going to identify the perpetrator, or the cops can identify the perpetrator. I can't tell you how many times I went to a crime like this, not crime like this, but a vandalism, and somebody had great video coverage, and I was able to ID the suspect just by looking at it. I recognized the person because we, encounter the same criminals every day. But you also want to have a burglar alarm and a fire alarm. Arson and burglaries are the biggest problems for churches. You're going to need to make sure you have good burglar and fire alarm to make sure that you secure your church and keep it safe. But let's go look at the biblical perspective of Bible burning. Now look, let's talk about persecution. Matthew chapter 5, verse 44. But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. Now this provides a direct command on how Christians are called to respond to acts of aggression against them. Now this incident, while distressing, it offers a moment for reflection on the principles of forgiveness and to love your adversaries. Remember, you want to forgive people just like you want God to forgive you. Let's talk about resilience and faith. For that, we're going to turn to 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 8 and 9. We're afflicted in every way, but not crushed, perplexed, but not driven to despair, persecuted, but not forsaken, struck down, but not destroyed. Now, this speaks to the resilience of faith in the face of adversity. Now, the intentional burning of Bibles, which is our symbol, or one of our symbols, it can't quench the spirit of determination of a congregation. Go ahead, you can burn Bibles, but it's not going to stop me from loving Christ. On the power of God's word, we turn to Isaiah chapter 40, verse 8. The grass withers, the flower fades, but the word of our God will stand forever. Now, this incident, while attempting to destroy the physical representation of God's word, underscores the indestructibility of the divine message contained within the Bible. Now, look, Pastor Locke's response to the incident was to emphasize a resolve to continue their mission and highlighting their strength that can be drawn from adversity. Now, this aligns with the biblical narrative of overcoming through faith and perspective. Now, look, they burned Bibles on Easter Sunday. Now, this could be seen as an attempt to challenge or intimidate the Christian faith, but through the biblical lens, such acts can serve to strengthen the resolve of believers, bringing them closer in their walk with God and with each other. Now, look, when you leave here, make sure that you have a 4K video system at your church, a burglar alarm, and a fire alarm. Those are the three most paramount things you can do. And then we can work on making sure the church is secure, looking at points of entry, windows, stuff like that. But let's just start with those three things. Another thing that you can always be doing to make sure that you stay safe is to remember your ABCs. Always be caring.